Please mute yourself as you join the meeting. Olajide, please mute yourself. Thank you very much. A guest speaker. Want to welcome Mr. Emmanuel Nyela. He has joined us. Please, can we drop a one in the chat box to welcome him? You're welcome, sir. Mr. Emmanuel. Hello. Can you
Thank
hear
you.
me?
Thank you. I can hear you.
Yes. Mr. Emmanuel is hello? Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Just speak on.
Okay. Mr. Emmanuel is a graduate student, a graduate scholar of Oregon State University, that's in United States. And I can remember when I was applying for Education USA, that's an organization that helped with GRE funding. He actually helped me through my essays, and I must tell you, I was able to write a very competitive essay. He has been in this business for so long, and I'm sure you're gonna gain benefit maximally from his wealth of knowledge. You're welcome, sir, once again, sir. Also, I'm in our midst, we have Mr. Olumide Aladesiun. He's a graduate scholar of the University of Texas. Hello, Mr. Olumide, are you in our midst?
Yeah, he's there.
Okay, Mr. Olumide. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Good
Okay.
afternoon.
Oh,
Good afternoon. I
we're
can't
in the
unmute
evening,
myself.
yeah.
And good afternoon. My name is Olumide Aladesiun. The media is Grace. Good. And it's a pleasure having me. And I really appreciate the organizers as well. It's a pleasure.
Oh, you're welcome, sir. You're welcome, sir. And we're actually in the evening in Nigeria, so we understand US is 6 hours behind. So,
Yeah.
you're welcome, sir. So, going to the next agenda on the program now, the interactive session with our guest speaker. Going to have interactive session where we'll be asking questions, and within the stipulated time, please, I plead on our guest speakers to please help us with the time. So, first question now goes to Mr. Emmanuel. First question goes to Mr. Emmanuel. Can you hear me, sir, Mr. Emmanuel?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, first question is, please can you briefly tell us about your scholarship journey? How were you able to manage rejections? What were the challenges you faced? And what motivated you to continue application despite rejection? Please, participants, as you are coming in, try as much as possible to mute yourself. Okay, Mr. Emmanuel. So the question, please can you briefly explain, tell us about your scholarship journey? What were what were you able to, how were you able to manage rejections? What were the challenges you faced? And what motivated you to continue applying despite rejections within 5 minutes? So, Mr. Emmanuel.
Um, Thank you very much for having me. I don't know, was that Udofia talking?
No, this is Wale, this is Alawale. I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself.
Thank you, Wally. Thank you for the introduction. Hello, everybody. This is Emmanuel Musa. I'm speaking to you from Oregon State here in the US. Uh, though it's shining very bright over here. It's sunshine. It's just 1 p.m. here. I know it's a different time with you guys over there in Nigeria right now. Thanks for having me. Just like Wally said, I've been a member of this forum for quite some time now, and credit goes to Oluwatui for having me. He's been a friend and a brother, and we've been here together for quite some time. I was here, I benefited from this group, and through this group as well, I learned a lot, and most of the things I used in my application, I learned from this group. So without further ado, I will just go on to speak on the point notes that Wally has itemized for me. So firstly, my scholarship journey, I started applying to scholarships when I was doing my NYC back in Nigeria in 2018, sorry. I applied a couple of scholarships that year, I remember. Uh, some of the scholarships I applied include the Commonwealth scholarships, the Chevening scholarship, and also the PTDF scholarship. Uh, well, it will baffle you guys that out of those three scholarships, I was not selected for any of them. Um, Being in the NYC and applying for those opportunities, because I was able to apply for the opportunities then because my NYC certificate was not needed for the application process. Although it was needed for PTDF, I think one of the reasons I could not get the PTDF that year, but that was part of it. So after the process, after the rejections I got from the scholarship bodies, both Commonwealth Scholarship and Chevening Scholarship, going into 2019, my mind was renewed. I started thinking about better ways to approach the journey proper. So one of the things I did, I remember, was making good contact with friends whom I knew were already overseas studying. And then another thing was joining forums like this, the Brain Conference. I was privileged to register also in Education USA. I think some of you know that. I've spoken, quite detail about that in the past. Um, so I was a member of Education USA, and through that forum, I got updates on scholarships. I got updates on opportunities as well. So my whole my whole mindset changed in 2019. I was no longer pursuing Commonwealth scholarships and PTDFs and Chevening. My interest was now in the US because I was a member of the Education USA. So with the knowledge and insight I had, I focused my energy in pursuing scholarships in the US. Going forward, I applied. I took a couple of exams, the GRE and TOEFL, and I applied for the admission. Uh, of course, that was another phase of it. Writing those exams was another phase. the endurance, and the efforts put in to make sure you get the best out of those exams so that you can stand out in the application process. Um, I did my best and I got a couple of good scores, which I used for my application. The next phase now was waiting for admission, and that is the next thing. Of course, you've done your best, you've done your part. Now you're waiting for the reward, which is the admission, of course. Uh, Admission was not coming; it wasn't handy. A couple of rejections. Some of the schools I applied, the usual message, the usual email you get on your email box will read along the lines of, "Dear Mr. Emmanuel, uh, we regret to announce or we regret to inform you that our school will not cannot consider you for this position." We had many students applying this year, and the school will sound nice, but they will still tell you at the end of the email that they cannot give you the position or the opportunity. So it was really daunting for me. It really wasn't a joyous moment. But then we kept waiting. I mean, I think I applied close to 12 schools in 2019. When I applied to schools in the USA, I applied to over 12 schools, and I got I think I got about 9 rejections from those 12 schools. Uh, Two of the schools came with opportunities. Two of the schools gave me admissions, but they gave me partial fundings. The third one gave me full funding, which is the Oregon State University. I am studying for my PhD currently. Um, so how did I manage rejections? Well, I manage rejections by not giving up. I mean, by not, limiting myself to uh, the schools, or limiting myself to a small, select school. I opened my arms. My scope was wide. I kept searching for opportunities. One of the things I did was always make sure whatever alert I get from friends, whatever information I got about opportunities, I took it, I grabbed it. I contacted, I spoke with people, spoke with professors, sent emails, not tiring.
Wow.
Sometimes it can be very, very tiring. So I kept
Sleepless
applying,
nights.
even with the rejection. I kept applying, and to God be the glory, I had my fully funded scholarship in Oregon State University. Um,
Wow.
so some of the challenges I faced during my application process, uh, you know, I think typically is a challenge almost every Nigerian faces in application. Some of them involves inadequate information, not getting the right source of information sometimes. Uh, sometimes lack of the zeal and uh, commitment. Sometimes you feel you're tired, you want to give up. That could be very challenging. And other things I also faced were finance during my application process. Financial challenges, um, going through the application process, the exams and all. It requires a lot of effort, requires a lot of finance as well. Not just your effort as an individual,
Okay.
but your finance also comes in. So it's a whole lot. It's a two-way thing. Um, so with all
Okay.
these challenges, what were my motivations now? Well, of course, coming from Nigeria and having graduated with a first class degree without any functional job that wasn't paying, that whose pay cannot sustain you for the month. I mean, it was really really sad. And with the desire and commitment to want to change things and make a difference for myself, my family, and for my community as large, my motivation to succeed and to acquire the scholarship kept me going. It kept pushing me. And of course, I saw many of my friends, I saw many people, I listened to many testimonies from individuals that have acquired and gained scholarship. So I felt if they could do it, why can't I? All these were my motivation. So I listened to people who acquired, who have succeeded a lot. and I asked lots of questions. I gathered many informations. I, touched up my applications, and these were my motivations. So my motivations, precisely or concisely, were one, to make a difference, to leave my, immediate environment, which was not favorable for me, to come into a world-class system where I can learn and develop myself, develop my skills to be able to stand out and become, someone with potential, and also make a difference, and also, give back to my society, give back to my community. So all these were my motivations, and they really, really kept me going. If each time I remember all those things, the things I want to do, and the things that kept me going, I could not relax. I could not relent. So, this in brief and summary, uh, were the process I took while applying for scholarships, especially in the USA. So, well, I can say more. I will say more later, but I think
Please, yeah,
thank you very much.
exhausted your time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, sir. Think I picked something from your motivation, and it's listening to that alone. It can really help someone to draft a very competitive statement of purpose. So, to Mr. Olumide now, briefly, please, sir, within 4 minutes, can you briefly tell us about your scholarship journey? How were you able to manage rejections? And what were the challenges you faced? Hello, sir, Mr. Olumide.
Okay, Mr. Olawale, Afidakun. One thing I will tell you is about the whole. I won't take much of the time. What I do say is, in the next 20 years, I have a bouncing baby boy now. You now ask me, Daddy, despite your ability, why are you here? People that are not up to you, they are here, they are there. Then the question is, have I given my best? Have I put in my effort? So if I put in my best and I put in my effort and he could land me here, I would tell my child, big boy, these are what and what I did, and these are where I am. So I did my best as at that time. So this thing prompts me because since I was child, I've been giving my best in all I do. So in as much I know I'm going to give back to someone that is going to question me a lot. Why am I not giving my best now? So that's my first motivation. The second motivation was my vision. Where do I want to get to? Do I want to be here? First of all, I want to tell you that you can do any other thing. You can do anything in as much you know where. And this ramped up my vision and why I'm not giving up. According to what my colleague said, there had to be rejection, but why am I doing this? Where am I going? I graduated in 2016. I told myself that I'm not going to do a master's or a PhD where I'm going to pay school fees. I must be funded because there's no reason why I'll go to a 5-year school in Futa, and at the end of the whole day, I will still enroll for a master's where I will still be paying. It doesn't make sense. So I need where I must be funded, and the best way is to look for scholarship. The reality, I was rejected in Finland, in Poland, in UK, in China, in Germany. Directly or indirectly, I'm rejected in so many countries, but I was able to get my card right with US because it's easier. There are a lot of schools, there are a lot of opportunities. Nobody is dying. If you apply for CSS or CSC, people are dying on the scholarship. Apply for PTDF, millions of people are applying. And those things are based on cashmate. If you are from Ekiti, you understand. If I'm from Bonu or if I'm from Adamawa, easier. So I set my cards right. I need to get to where. A minute, let me close this door. So, according to what I said, the second mission is where I might want to get to. My first mission is 20 years time. So some will ask, my son will ask me, why are you here? And if I can question my dad, I know my son will do more. So that was my second motivation. And the third aspect is when you know where you are going, rejection is motivation.
Yes, yes, that's
That's
true.
one. Now, number two is if you are not rejected, how will you improve? I was rejected in Hungary. I was rejected, but what I just know is US is one of the most easiest places you can apply to. Why? Because there are a lot of schools. And secondly, I was rejected too at the point of interview when I put in my, despite I have fully funded offer, I was rejected. So I had to tell myself, I just need to work on myself as well. So I don't even know because, but one thing I would just say, I give my US application one shot and I get it. I applied
Wow.
for only 1 year. But what makes it so easier because I have the right information that I know you have to sign and you have to pay the dues. Third law of motion is action and reactions are equal and opposite. Directly or indirectly, you have to put something to get something. I
Yes,
believe in my
yes.
strength when I was in school, but I added grace too. Where God is leading you to makes your journey easier. Without me making words, you have a competitive. I was only rejected in one of my applications I submitted. It was in University of Texas, El Paso. That was the only school I was rejected. All my schools I was admitted. So at some point I had to choose my best offer, which I had to. So rejection is part of the game. It's motivation for you if you know where you are going. So according to recap, or on the other thing, I was rejected in UK, maybe this year, but I gave my US one shot. Then I'm in Texas now. Directly or
Wow.
indirectly, I'm in Texas. So that's my own advice. If you know how to put your cards right, I'll tell you in just a year, you should have transmodified from Nigeria to wherever I want to have. So as question goes on, I will give out some tips in which you can, but just know something and get it right. For every action, there is equal and opposite reaction. You cannot
Yeah,
garbage in, garbage out. That's just the
exactly.
whole thing. Because Atu knows me, I don't know how to make words. You cannot pay the dues, you cannot get it. So you have to pay the dues, and directly or indirectly, you get the result. So garbage in, garbage out. And thank you for having me once again. In order not to waste up our time, I guess with that we can say the ball rolling. But once
Yes,
again,
sir.
it's not really about I'm in first class. No, don't get that. Don't get that one. It's about your profile. And I really appreciate everyone for attending this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I actually got something from that. Managing rejections, you should apply to schools or scholarship that you know you are eligible, not that you just throw in applications here and there. If you are not eligible, then forget about it so that you'll
Yeah,
be able
yeah,
to.
yeah.
Yeah.
I will also buffer that on that too. There is, we call it different folks for, how do they say, different history for different folks. You cannot be
Yes, sir.
competing with somebody in China that had internship in Google, you had internship in Toyota, and you are coming from Nigeria. The only thing you have is your GP. I don't deceive myself. So you apply to same schools. You apply to schools that they are competitive in your own standard. You cannot be aspiring to Stanford. You cannot be applying to MIT and have GRE of 290. So you have to place your joker right. All the schools I applied to, I was only rejected in one. So that's the message on that.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, sir. So now we want to be proceeding to the next question, Mr. Emmanuel. What are documents slash exams potential graduate students have to write for graduate applications to the United States? These are within 2 to 3 minutes. Documents and exams graduate students have to write for graduate applications to the United States. Mr. Emmanuel.
Yeah, thank you, Wally, once again. My brother who spoke just now said a lot, and I think I'll just build from there. Uh, well, personally for me, I most times when we talk about graduate school and you call exams, I think that is one of the things that repels people back or that tends to push people back from applying graduate schools because many have the notion that the exams are so hard they might not make it, or there are so many flying informations around that people fail the GRE, people don't make good scores in the TOEFL and all that. Um, so for me, I don't really put much emphasis when I talk about scholarship, especially the USA. Uh, I don't rely much on exams uh, because uh, I'm a beneficiary myself. And I've seen so many students who left Nigeria through even without these exams per se, and are now in the US studying. However, the exams that are required to apply to schools, usually abroad, I think I'm focusing much about the US. Uh, Generally, the exams that are required in applying graduate schools, uh, as we all know, or as some of us know, include GRE, uh, TOEFL, and IELTS. Uh, GMAT also might be required for some persons that are in the social science,
Management students, yeah.
for management student, of course, those in social sciences. GMAT, they might take GMAT, in place of the GRE. But I've seen even those in management sciences take GRE. They also write GRE if they want, if they choose to, in place of the GMAT. So these are the exams that are required: GRE, TOEFL, or IELTS. You can write any of those two; it's accepted. Then GMAT as well can also substitute for the GRE if you're in the management sciences. So these are the exams that are required. The GRE, as we know, it's an exams that tests one's ability to manage pressure, and also builds one critical thinking skills. So the GRE exam tests your critical thinking skills and your technical skill towards problem solving. That is what the GRE exam does. So it's a very important exams when it comes to graduate school application. Um, uh, Most graduate schools expect and requires you to write the GRE exams. Some schools may not need it, but they might still want to see it, all right? Just wave it to us. Let's just see it. Just wave it to us. They want to see it. They want to see that you took it, even if they might not require it. Last year during COVID, most of the schools in the US waived, they did what we call waiving. They waived the GRE. Uh, so what that means, or what that meant last year was that even if you don't have a GRE, you could still apply to schools in the US and you can be granted admission. In fact, many people got admission without the GRE last year. Uh, so, and that happened last year. Many schools these days are working towards scraping the GRE even, because there is so much emphasis laid on the GRE. That is why I don't like talking much about the GRE when it comes to graduate school. Lots of emphasis is laid on the GRE, although it's a very good exams, but it has been in existence for a very long time, and it has been the exams which is used to test students' ability to make it in the graduate school. So students, it gives you a competitive advantage if you have a good score. It compares you with your other peers or your peers around the world, so they can use the GRE to test your level of understanding, and that will also give them information about your ability to do well in graduate school. But nowadays, most schools don't really consider that because many people might do well in the GRE, but they don't necessarily do well when it comes to research in the graduate school. So schools don't put much emphasis on that. Regardless, it is very important that you take the exams while applying for GRE. Even if you might not use it, take it and do very well in it. So these are the 4 exams. The TOEFL is, of course, TOEFL or IELTS is a necessary requirement. You must have that exam. It's an English exam, so you must have the TOEFL or the IELTS before you can apply to graduate school. And why are you even taking these exams? You're taking the exams because you want scholarship, right? Uh, you don't have the finance to
Yes.
pay for yourself. So you can have an admission without the exams, but you will not get funding without the exam.
Funding, yeah.
So you need funding, and many people are applying all around the world, all around the globe, looking for funding in many schools. So writing these exams gives you an advantage, an edge to acquire this funding. So it's something you have to take very seriously. Many people take a minimum of 3 months to prepare for the GRE because it's a very, very strong exams. It's an exams that really, really tests your skills, your critical thinking skills, and your problem solving skills as well. Uh, Let me go on to talk about the other documents you might need when applying for the GRE. So some of the other documents you need aside the exams you'll be taking are you need your transcripts, of course. Your transcripts contains the breakdown of your academic, uh, you know, um, your results, your academic results and courses you took while in school and the grades and all. They are broken down in the transcript. So that is something you need to have at your disposal, please. It's not something you need to send to the school while you're applying. You need it at your disposal. So you need to get your transcript at hand and then use it for application while you are applying to schools. So you pay the money, get your transcript, and then use it for applications. You can use the transcript to apply to all the schools you are sending your application, since they only require the scanning copy to process your admission. But after they've processed your admission and they give you an admission, then they will require or they will request for the original transcript, which you will now mail to them from your school. The second document, which is very, very important, is the SOP. Some schools call it the personal statement. Other schools call it the statement of purpose. Uh, it's one of the most important documents you would need while applying to schools, graduate schools. The SOP is a very, very important document that talks about your drive and motivations as an individual. It talks about your passions. It talks about your strengths, your weaknesses. It also contains your academic background. Uh, it goes to talk about your career and academic goals. It talks about some of your accomplishments while you were in school. Uh, it could be your research, some of the research you conducted in your undergraduate study during your undergraduate study. It could also be, involve your internship. It could involve your some of the work and research experience you might have had in the past. All these things are what build up one's personal statements. Okay, so the statement of purpose is a very, very serious and important document. For me, I place it as the most important document. In fact, it's something you cannot do without in application. All your results, your exam scores are there. We've seen it. The admission committee will say they've seen it, but they want to see how you communicate. Can you communicate your drive? Can you communicate why you are interested in applying to this program? What are your interests? What are your inspiration? How did you develop your interest? Why are you interested in this program? What do you want to do with this program you're applying? Okay, why are you interested in applying to our school to begin with? All these things are captured in the SOP. All right, that is what makes it very, very powerful. All right, so your SOP can make you or mail you in the application process while they are reviewing your application. So the SOP is a very, very important document. It's something that you will need to take seriously while thinking about applications. Now, the next thing is, although not always required, but very, very important, publications. Of course, if you are an individual or a scholar who wants to go to graduate school, it's expected that your mentality is about research, right? And then uh, the school wants to see how you are communicating in that line through your publications, through some of the documents you've written and probably or published in the past. So that is where the publication comes in. If an admission committee sees a publication from you with your name on it, it tells them that this guy is doing something in the field. It tells them that this guy is ready. This guy knows what he's
What
doing.
is doing? Yeah.
Committed is committed to contributing knowledge and doing research. So that is why
Research.
the
Yeah.
publications is very, very important. It's so important. I cannot overemphasize that. Some persons apply to schools without publications, they get the scholarship. It all depends on the program you're applying, the competition, and the number of people applying, and the strength. So all these
Yeah.
are strengths, and if you don't have them, you can have some lapses and weakness in some areas. Okay. Uh,
Okay.
you want a very solid application package, which what we call application package, where you are not lacking in anything. Most times when I talk to people, I tell students that uh, when I was applying for my scholarship, I had to publish my undergraduate thesis, the one I did in my
Yes.
undergraduate university. I didn't have money, but I had to get money to publish this work. I remember when I sent it to a professor, he read it. He told me, a professor here, when he read the publication, he emailed me back and told me that he read my publication. I was very, very happy. And then he said that he read my publication and it was a good work I did. So, I mean, that alone has already painted a good image about you and has already registered you in the heart of whoever is going to review your application or whoever is considering you in the application process. And then thirdly, or fourthly rather, I talked about research and work experience, right? Um, have you any research experience? Do you have any work experience that is, so research experience could involve your internship, your thesis. Your work experience could involve academic work. Have you done any work in the academia? Are you teaching? Have you carried out any voluntary, exercise? It could be tutorial. Maybe you organize tutorial voluntary for students, just for them, just to improve, their learning, to contribute to learning. So all these comes to part of the application package. Because if you're coming to study as a graduate student, you have other assignments apart from your studies and research. You might be asked to do
Yes.
to teach students. So they want to see that you can do this and you can demonstrate this through your SOP as well, right? And then your
Yeah.
CV, which contains a breakdown about you as a person. Your CV also captures some of your achievements. It could be awards, it could be your publications, your undergraduate degree program, and other useful informations that is related to your applications. So these are some of the documents, and then your results, of course, your certificates, degree certificates. All these are the things I think you need, are the important things you need to prepare for your application. So I think I'll stop here and
Okay,
continue.
thank you. In order to add, because I can say want to ask me another question. What I will tell you,
Okay.
I don't know whether you are going to ask me that question, but I have a feeling you won't ask me. But my
Okay.
little,
What question is that, sir?
the question is asked me now. I have a feeling you won't ask.
Okay.
What I will say is this: you've gone through undergraduate for 4 years. You had 4.99. You have 3.20. You have 3.499. My own position is this: you cannot change that. Right?
Yes.
You
Yes.
cannot go back. These are the only things you can change: your GRE, your
Yes.
TOEFL
So,
score, your SOP,
personal statement.
your SOP, and one crucial thing, your recommendation. You see that recommendation, that lecturer that you don't like, be creating relationship with them, because they are the one that can say, that boy, very good, he has good research, he has been working with this. See, you see, this recommendation, number one, is it over some things. Your recommendation, your SOP, your GRE. So my own take is, now be familiarizing yourself with your lecturers. And I just want to say hi, and you'll be doing this. It's very, very important. Very, 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 very important, because it's a crucial thing. Because I've seen some rejections that they state that the recommendation given was not convincing for him, because most of those lecturers have so they don't put generic
Recommendation.
recommendation, because
Yes. Yes.
800 people, they ask them for recommendation, copy and paste
Most
and
of
go, they need your name and do this. So try and foster your personal relationship with them and the like. And secondly, and what I will also work with, what I will also add is about GRE too. GRE has been the major Jericho about people at US GRE. If you invest your money in something, you need a return, right? Just give it a try. Whether hard or soft, but the reward is far, far more better. It's not even the reward, it's even passing the exam for this. I guess that would be my little. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that addition. Wally, let me just say something quickly. I omitted recommendations. Please forgive me. How could I even forget that? I remember I had to write my recommendation letters by myself when I was applying to scholarships, when I was applying for graduate school. So this is the idea, just like my brother said. Most of our lecturers here in Nigeria can't give you a holistic recommendation letter. It's not as if they cannot write it, but they will not put in the energy to write it for you. And you don't want to be somebody that is gambling with your application, right? So I remember when I was applying to schools, I sat down, I wrote detailed application recommendation letters. I mean, application standard recommendation letters. And then what I did was, because of course I listened to people and I got advice from people, so I knew how to prepare for that. So I wrote these letters myself, and then I took it to those lecturers and I said, sir, I know you have busy schedules. I know you. In fact, the thing is, before I even took these letters to them, I sent them emails. I met them. I approached them, and some of them gave me the complaint that they could not write it and all that. So I took the liberty to write the letters, and then I approached them and said, sir, I've written these letters, and this is a template of what I wrote. Please review it, and you can add or remove whatever you think you want to do to it. And that was how it was. That was how it went for me. So it was very easy for me. I know, just like my brother said also, I know persons that lost admissions because their recommendation letters were not sent at the due date. So this is something you don't want to play with. They take recommendations very, very crucial here. Very, very important. So please, recommendation letters is something that you should take seriously. Even if you have to write it and send it to your lecturers to review, edit, and add to them, please do it. Thank you.
In addition, some people will say, wait. Some people will say I had 2.0 in undergraduate US. From US is for you. If you have 2.0, US is for you. My only advice is try and do West evaluation.
Wow, you've answered all my questions.
Okay. Let me quickly let me stop that. Maybe that will be your next question.
Yes, that's one of my questions. Okay, so I'd like you to answer the question. What can you say about West evaluation? Is it compulsory for all potential graduate students or just for?
Okay, let me tell you my frustration. When I was applying, I had a good GP to some people. So when I was applying to some schools and I'm not getting funding, I considered doing. First of all, as at to date, West is $215. It's over 100,000, if I must say. And Nigeria has limit, or they put a limit to credit card on the. You cannot pay more than $100. So those are challenges we face. First of all, if you have HND, you have ND and HND, I will advise you do West, because you are going to consolidate your ND and HND to a single file, which you also have a personal copy. So you have HND, is it US is for you. It's you that I don't want to do. Secondly, you have 2.0. The advantage we have in Nigeria was course in FUTA is 5 years, while some schools too, in undergrad, some are 4 years too. But if you remember, we do like 5 courses, 9 courses. Do you get a semester or 8 courses per semester?
Yes.
And so your results tends to, do you get on ratio of 4.0, because our GP is on 5.0 and you have 2.5. So when they review your score, it can go to about 2.8, even though you have 2.5. It will increase on 4. So if you have any GP less than 3.0, let me put it like that, I will advise you to do West. And Okay, first at the HND, you do West. Second, I have a 2.99. I will advise you to do West because it's elevate your. If you also have 3.5, I will advise you to do it. And thirdly, not all schools accept. Schools accept. I advise you that transcripts don't apply because it will cost too much. People that can get your student transcript where you are after everything. So I will advise that there are some schools in US that are West-based schools that they don't accept student copy. You have to do West. Like one school in or what exactly? There are some schools, NCAT, NCAT. There are some schools that they are majorly West schools that they don't collect anything inside those West evaluations because they don't trust us on that point. And secondly, okay, they don't trust us, and they believe that West must have because our official or our student copy is submit. There is an inboard that evaluates those results themselves. They evaluate those results. Those they evaluated. So if you have like 3.5 and inboard evaluated your result, your report, they can slash it anyhow. So there are some schools that they are West-based schools. Schools that are not West-based schools, you can still send West-based as official transcript. And secondly, okay, I'm not hearing well. Okay, and then lastly, there are some schools, do you get that people who apply to due to that West, so you can leverage on that West schools because those can do well because you can leverage on those schools.
Exactly. They have less applicants.
Exactly. West is not compulsory, but it's have its own advantage. And if you graduated from Umukoro Development University Community High School, that it takes them 20 years to take your transcripts. So if you do West, you can just send a mail to West at $20 or $20 or $30. Send your those schools. It will take 5 days and you have it. So those are the advantages you have a West evaluated result. And to recap, number one, those West schools usually have less applicants. Like they have West applicants. So you apply to those schools. Number two, West tends to increase your GP. HND. West tends to increase your GP, maybe on 2.55. You evaluate your result. It will increase based on 4.0 scale. Why will it increase? Because the number when I counted the number of courses I take, it close to 40 courses, 40, like 80 courses.
70 plus.
80 courses. So people here in US, of his time in US schools, maybe abroad, they will be doing like maybe 9 maybe 3 courses per semester in 4 years. That's like 8 times 4. That's like 32 scores. So let's give you the liberty to evaluate those your. And another thing is our own A starts from 70. Their own A starts from 85. So if you still have B,
yes,
B, they will still evaluate as their own B.
It's 90 here. It's 90 here.
No, I don't. I'm not actually.
It's 96.
God will save us.
Okay.
So, all your results can
Amen.
See me, I'm not hearing clearly. Okay, let me move closer. And what am I saying? Okay, you have HND. I hope you are hearing me clear now. You have ND and HND. So West is also for you. So that is the third point. And if you graduate from those ones might delay your transcript. So you need to let me use my earpiece.
I think you should use the earpiece. People can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Doing well. So 4.7 stage. Why is that? 4 years university. Our A starts from 7. Based on what your GP. So your GP can finish to 0. They can't hear me.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me now? now?
Yes, it's better now.
Okay, let me start again. If your GP is less than 3.0 or anything like 3.5, I will advise you to do it. I will advise you to do it because it tends to increase on 4.0 scale. That's one. Two, if you have ND and HND, do it. I will advise you to do. I will advise you to do well because it will consolidate your together. And number three, if your if your if your university is not that prompt in sending your transcript, Umuporo University of so, you can also go and keep your transcript with West. That makes it three. Then you leverage on schools that do have much applicants. Those are the West schools. They won't have much applicants. That makes it four. And seems that should be. And the disadvantage of West is slightly expensive. Even $200 a year is a big money, and compared to Nigeria where it's not expensive now, so it's very big expensive. Two, if you don't know how to play your cards right, it could take you months before you get the result, because once you send your transcript, they will still have to send a verification back to Nigeria for permit to university. So if you are trying to initiate your work, you start as soon as possible. You start as soon as possible. Time consumed before it gets done. And secondly, how too expensive. And thirdly, you also use about $20 to $30 to send to yearly, but they will send you a personal student copy of US evaluated results. I guess that should be so West is not for us. West is not for us. There's actually requested to so schools they are not West also collect West evaluated results. I guess those are the advantages and the merits of our West. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Sorry, Wally, let me just say something briefly.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, I think Olumide said a lot about the West thing, and well, I will speak from a Nigerian perspective, like every Nigerian student will speak. Trust me, applying to schools, US especially, is very expensive. I think we're talking more about US is because there are so much opportunities here in the US. That is why Olumide is saying much about West. It's the US that requires West mostly. And the West conversion, or like you said, converts your results to an international standard of 4.0 grade, which is true. My advice to you will be, please, there is no need spending money that you don't even have at the moment. I remember when I was applying to schools, I could not afford to do West. So what did I do? If I'm in your shoes, I would look for schools that do not require West. You don't have the money to be wasting and converting your results to West. Of course, it is good. The good side is if you have a low CGPA, like Olumide said, the West might shoot it up for you. But if your CGPA is just okay, a 3.5, 3.8, a 4.0 and above, you don't need to have a first class to apply to schools in the US. I think that is one thing people are getting wrong up till now. A second class upper strong 2-1 is just okay for you to make your application. So if I'm in your shoes, I will stay away from schools that want me to send West, that convert my result to West before sending. Secondly, I will stay away from schools, just like Olumide mentioned, that requires official transcripts. I have to pay money before my transcript gets to them. How many schools will you do that for? Paying money and sending transcripts all the time. So I will stay away from such schools. Thirdly, schools that will require official score of my exams, GRE, TOEFL, of course, although those ones, they are not very expensive. You can send your scores if they require.
Baba, they are expensive.
How much
in Nigerian context? $20, $30.
Okay, thank you. I was just trying to be on a lighter note.
No, reality. I applied to what's it called? I applied to ULA, University of Louisiana Lafayette. Their application fee is I paid $30. Do you get?
Wow.
But I sent but I sent my official phone and my official GR. That makes it $77. I didn't even have known I wouldn't have applied. People who applied because they have their deadline. What do we call it? Priority deadlines at March. For those $20, about 10,000 naira in yen. It's expensive.
Thank you, Olumide. Thank you. So for me right now,
Thank you, sir.
just the reason why I'm saying this is because forget, irrespective of the fact that we're now in the US, things are a bit easier. I'm speaking just like every other Nigerian student will speak who is trying to apply for scholarship. I would not go through that part, trust me. I will not travel through that part of changing my results or converting my results, paying money for transcripts and exams that I don't have. There are so many schools in the US giving scholarships, trust me. There are over more than over 1,000 schools, okay, giving scholarships in the US. There is definitely a school for you. That is just one thing I want you to know.
Sorry,
Regardless,
it's not about interrupting you. Do you get? 80% of US, no, okay, 70% of US doesn't go to graduate schools because it's damn expensive. Do you get? The only means you can survive graduate school is through scholarship or funding. Those guys, once they are done with their college, they are good to go. Job is there for them. Do you get? So it's an opportunity for you to come down from Black Nation and come and enjoy your life with a good stipend.
all right. Just to wrap it up, what I was trying to say was that just make sure that you make wise choices while applying to schools in the US. Try to stay away from anything that will cost you extra funds that
Extra
you
funds.
at the moment. That's what I'm trying to say. And such things involves sending trans. You might see a school you like, the course you want to apply, program you want to apply is there, you like it, but the school has said send us your official transcript, and then you want to go and send and pay money for an admission you don't already have. So for me, if I'm going to spend money to send any official document before getting admission to a school, I will be very sure, at least 80% sure that I will get that admission. How do I know if I'll get that admission? Maybe I'll talk about it on the next question. Thank you.
What's going on? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, man.
Yeah, well,
Okay. So moving on to the next question, you've answered most of my questions as regarding personal statement and recommendation letters, West evaluation, TOEFL and GRE scores. So now to the session schools in the United States and getting to know the admission requirements. What are the available funding opportunities for graduate students in the United States? So Mr. Olumide will help us with how we can go about searching for schools in the United States and getting to know their admission requirements, also the available funding opportunities. I think I've read about graduate research assistant. So please can you just brief us on that, sir?
Okay.
Please,
First
we
of
have
all,
limited time, sir. Please, get up for the
okay.
time.
Okay. I'm very brief. There are different
Okay.
form of funding package for students, for graduate students. And number one, I will say there is this. We have scholarships, we have fellowships, we have TA, we have teaching assistants, we have research assistants, and we have graduate assistantship, like what's it called? Maybe being in reception or so. So I will quote it under that file. Do you get? And you know, when you apply to school in UK, your school fees will be 22,000 pounds. They will give you 1,000 scholarship.
Yes, yes.
Exactly. So here is somehow less. But one thing I want to emphasize on is there are different ways goes in getting their funding. But one thing I will break it down. I as a whole, I send good emails. Please can that person mute himself? I send code emails to lecture, what was it called? To professors, Aladesiun, Olumide, this, I'm that, and this. None replied me. I didn't even get any favorable something. What I now do is I'll go to the graduate school, University of California at Medez. Okay, mechanical engineering. What are their requirements? Their requirements are there. Their requirements are there. Okay, 3.0, you graduate, the statement of purpose, it will be there. Do you get? So most schools you don't apply for funding. Most schools you don't apply for funding. What they do is aside those schools, okay, coordinate is like introducing yourself according to what my co-colleague said. They are sending some emails to lecturers, to professors, where he attaches transcripts and every other thing and the likes. And okay, as a top notch, I want to join your team. Then okay, they will give you, and then from there you go. That's something that is the card. Then you tell him who you are, what you've done, the past, how could you say you want to join research team. That's basically what we do. That's on that side. Okay, you go to their school website, their requirement is there. So you don't actually apply for funding directly. Do you get? It's when this admission comes, what they do is they now rank every applicant according to their scores. Olumide 800 scores, Jide 200 scores. They will rank. So once they have the funding, most schools in US have a level of funding. Most schools they have funding from federal NSF, Tesla, any school. Even though some schools, their lecturers will win school grants, is to fund. So they will now allocate those what is it called? Those fundings. And what do I want to say? Okay, you don't actually apply to those funding per se. The school gives you. Once you apply, most schools
Okay.
don't apply for funding. Once you are given admission and you
They
have the admission,
consider.
exactly. So after they giving all the admission, they will now send funding to you. You will be funded or this. Don't even send it. So what most people do is they look for schools. They look for schools that what is it called? That measures that measures your profile. Maybe they said the least they can go is 3.3 and 335 a GRE, and you have 300. You know, you just use your money to plant flowers like Peter will do. So what you do is once you go to those schools, okay, universities in California, it gives you list of those schools. University, so you use US News to search those schools, and once you get to those, go to their graduate schools. But one important thing, you need to submit your application before the priority deadline. All this information will be on that graduate school's website that you can leverage. And once you submit your something, your application, and you are considered for admission, if they have funding, they will give you. So there is no separate. Most doesn't have a separate application for scholarship or for funding. They will give you according to what they have. But there are some schools that they will only admit those they can fund. They will only admit those they can fund. Do you get it now? So they won't admit you they cannot fund you. So I cannot tell you that okay, there are different ways to get it. Some must have established the relationship and some, like the school I am, I didn't send me to them. I just submitted my application, get the admission. Then on another day, I was just scrolling my email, then I said, see a mail from the graduate coordinator. But another thing is, I also send a code email to the graduate coordinator. Okay, and this, that, this is my, can I apply? Give me a good Bible. Most graduate coordinator will tell you to apply because they will still review all the applications and they will rank all their students. You get it now. So that's about that. I don't have much to say about that. But all I know is once you apply and you are admitted, if they have fun, you don't even need to bother them. It might take 2 months. Just enter. And there's probability that they've given me funding in OSU, Oklahoma State University. I rejected it. They will give it to another person after you get. That's how it is.
Okay.
I guess I covered the question. I think I missed.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Sending of cold emails, I think that's part of the questions I want to ask. Potential, okay, mailing of supervisors. It can be quite demanding as one will have to read several journals to know professors' research interests. how can we go about sending a compelling email to professors in the United States? I've heard of people saying, "Oh, I mailed about 20 professors, and none of them responded to my mail." What can be the cause, Mr. Emmanuel? Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I'm with you, Ola. Wale, thank you.
Okay, so what can be the
Right.
cause?
Okay, good
The,
question. I mean, that is a very, very important question. I remember I started off by saying that the SOP is about one of the most important documents you write when applying to graduate studies. So now let's go back to um, sending emails to professors. I think that's the question, right? And
yes,
why
sir.
some professors don't respond to emails.
Okay.
Um, so I said something before I stopped the last response I gave. I said I will not apply to a school if I'm not sure of getting admission in that school. Uh,
Okay.
Now, why will I say that? Of course, I've done my homework, I've done my assignments, I've prepared my documents, written the exams, and I've applied to the school. So how do I know if I'll get admission in the school? It's by my communication, my emails, the way I contact or I talk to the potential profs in that school. Now that goes back to how you write the emails. So before I apply to a school, this is the thing I do. I search for the school. I'm sure they are doing my program. I'm sure they are doing my area of I'm sure they're doing research in my area of interest. Once that is done, just like Olumide said, of course you have to search schools. You have to. It's a rigorous exercise, but it's very very rigorous. Applying to schools in the US, it's commitment, and the only people that have succeeded are people with sheer determination. You would not make it to US if your determination starts wavering. If you start wavering or you start, slacking along the line. So it's a rigorous process. You have to do lots of research, get the schools, the programs, and then get the profs that are working in that area. Haven't done that. Now you write emails to these profs. How would the email look like? Dear professor, you introduce yourself briefly. You state your interest. Or rather, you state where you're coming from. Introduce yourself. My name is this. I graduated from this university. I'm a first class student. There's nothing to brag about it. All right. You state it there clearly. It is who you are. It is what you have. I have this. And I'll be applying to this school. I'll be applying to this graduate school. And I would really love to work with you, or I would love to be mentored by you. You go on. I have read some of your publications, and I find your research interest aligning with mine, or your research interest aligns strongly with mine. That is why I'm interested. And then you go on to state some of the things you've done that actually, you go on to state why you have that interest. So you can start by saying you want to make a difference with this. For example, if right now that we have so much CO2 emission, you can say with the troubling concerns with CO2 emission, you want to carry out the projects that will, go towards or that will tend to mediate the CO2 emission or reduce
Oh,
emission in the atmosphere. If that is what the prof is doing, then he believes that you have a similar interest. He sees that you want to do, and you really understand what he's doing. So before you write to a professor, you must have researched, done your research about the professor. You know his
yeah.
line of interest, and you are interested in what he's doing. You don't just write a random email to profs because
Yes, sir.
you just feel like writing emails. Emails. One thing people do is that people use the same template for different profs.
Generic email.
It is very wrong. So if you're
Yeah.
writing an email to a professor, make sure that email is meant for that professor. And how do you know, or how will the professor knows that email is for him? By you referencing his work, quoting from his publications that you've read. Some of the reason why I think that is troublesome. I think I saw it that reading about professors' publications before sending them emails. I will tell you that when I send emails to professors, I don't really take a holistic look or view. Rather, I don't read their publications holistically. I go through the abstract,
Abstract.
and then I see the conclusion. If
Mm.
the title, if from the title, I know if I'm interested in this person's research or not. So I see what he's doing in CO2, capture and storage and capture. And then if it interests me, I go to the abstract, I pick one or two, and then I put it in my email. At least once he's reading my email, he will be smiling. This guy is reading my email. People are reading his work. Professors here like to know that their works or their publications have been read.
I've been
Right?
right. Yeah.
So if you tell them you read their publications, they are happy. So, and the response you get from a professor tells you if you have a chance, if you stand a chance. There are schools that don't really, I think schools operate in two systems here in the US. There are schools that operate based on quotas from professors and then quotas from committees. So a professor can recommend you to a committee, you get the admission. Other schools, professors don't do that. It's the admission committee that reviews and give you admission. In my school, my professor recommended me for admission and I got the admission. All
Wow.
right. So what am I trying to say? Networking is very, very good. And how do you network? Through emails. Now, if you send an email out to a professor and the professor does not reply you, then it is now professors get tons and loads of emails because you're not the only one applying. Let me start from there. Okay. Many students are applying, they're interested in what you're interested in, and then they also send emails. In fact, they even make more research than you think you're doing right now. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, some are already one step ahead. So they send emails and then profs get these emails. So if a professor does not find your email palatable, he will not even respond to you. Let me start by saying that. So you have to write a convincing and interesting email that will capture someone's interest. All right. So that is one way. So getting a response from a professor, there are generic responses or replies to get from profs. Profs will say, okay, you have a good academic background, you can apply to our program. That is a generic email. It does not say, it does not hold any weight or hold any water. But if a professor writes you and say, I read your email and I find it very interesting. He goes along to say, I think you'll be a good fit for my program. Please apply. All right. He even tells you to ask him any questions if you have. That is a good that is a good mark. That is a good point. That is a good response. Now from there, we call it a good response. We call it favorable response if we're applying to schools. Okay, everybody calls it favorable. I had my friend who say I got a favorable reply from a professor. That is a favorable reply. So once you get such replies, then those schools are shots you should take. Those are the schools you want to apply because you know you have a higher chance of gaining admission into the schools. So writing
Mm.
emails to professors, once you write an email and you don't get a reply, give it time. Don't bug a professor by writing tons of emails trying to tell him that I sent you an email, I didn't get your reply. Don't do that. All right. Sometimes these profs are very busy. They take time to reply emails. Some replies can come after a month. But if you write a professor an email and then it takes a month, you didn't get a reply, then you can just write, you know,
Reminder.
just a little reminder about the first email you wrote, and then go from there and leave it at that. If you don't get a reply, don't even send that professor an email. Don't send anybody anything. Don't even apply that school. I would advise you don't apply the school. Apply to schools you know you have high chance of gaining admission. Okay,
Union.
but if these schools, why am I saying this? Because schools requires you to pay application fees. That is why I'm even saying this. Okay, you will pay money once you've applied to schools. So why should you be throwing money to schools? You know your shot there is limited. I stated earlier that there are hundreds, over 1,000 universities in the US. So there is a school for you. And there is no how you will not get a favorable reply from one professor or another if you do your homework very well. So I will focus on those schools. If I'm paying money, I will pay application fees to those schools. When I was applying to schools in the US, I only paid application fees to two schools. I applied 12 schools. The other schools were application free schools. They didn't require me to pay money. Okay.
Wow.
But the ones I paid money for, I knew my chances. I knew that, hey, I'm gambling wisely here. You don't have money to pay to 5 schools, 10 schools. These are serious money. These are serious funds. You don't have these funds, okay? I don't know about you, but when I was applying to scholarships, I was broke. I got support. I think I'll mention that later. I got support from Edusa. Edusa didn't even pay much for me. They paid only one school for me. I had to find money to pay for other schools. So these are things you want to take note, take note of. Apply to schools that you know you have a top shot. You can draft a list of schools. Get about 50 universities, draft them, list them. You can start from high, top rank universities, and then go to average, middle, and then low schools. Okay, based on your interest, research those schools, research professors, research their researches, and then pen down, write down the schools, apply. Check for the schools that don't require application fees. Check for the ones that require application fees. Weigh your chances, weigh the responses you get, and then that will guide you on how to apply to those schools. I don't know if I did justice to that, Wally.
Yes,
Okay.
well detailed.
In addition to that, I have a different school of thought. I have a different school of thought. Me, I don't like writing. I don't have any qualification. These words we must enter. We are not giving up. The thing is this, that I want to let you get different folks, different guys with different folks. You get.
Yes, yes.
I send them to heaven and earth. I don't have any qualification. You get. What I do is for every department there is a gathering coordinator.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes.
Okay, your gathering coordinator. I have so for stars in this in that, and that. I wish to apply your program. There is a coordinator. Okay, you have funding. You tell me to apply. You will tell everybody. Will tell everybody to apply. Well, I understand the part my colleague is coming from, because that one too is a add to your profile or to your application. For me as a whole, I don't really consider that, because a friend of mine is going to Alabama. What he does is just go to the department. Okay, I want to study advanced machining in 3D additive manufacture. I just go look for 2 people in the department that is under production. So Dr. Jazzy and Dr. Something. Just go there, is doing this. I'll be able to look, just like those use common sense that okay, I'll be able to work in the area of manufacturing this or this. I'll be applicating your SOP, just like no need to message any. Professors are busy here that if you get one out of something, just go to the graduate school, check the website. Does it actually the basis of recommendation, like the basis of application? You need to have 3.0, 400 in GRE. Note those ones. So you actually fit. You get, according to what he said, there are some quota from lecturer, from professors. There are some quotas too. Subjects. You get, it could also be a time, because at the time you send a mail. I will not tell you the number of professors I send mails to in Canada. I took my time, check like 5 degrees in Canada, sent all of the lecturers there, all of them. Do you get? At the end of the only one replied me out of like 30 I sent to. Do you get? Maybe because I don't have a publication or I don't have a convincing what's it called? A convincing code email. But what I believe is a friend of mine is going to Alabama. Once he submitted his application, those professors too come back. Those professors will come over and check. A professor that has not made just send him a mail. He saw his application. I would like to have a chat with him. So if you are not getting feedback from this, and you know you met the basic requirement for these schools, because you will have no safe schools based on your profile. If I have 4.99 and I have 40 over 40, if you apply to any school in US, you get admission. But what is it called? Depending on how competitive those students will apply as a you get. I have people that are in Stanford that they don't even have up to 340 or 340 that are there. Because as at the point of applying, those best schools, those best students are sleeping. I can't just favor this application. So left to me, if you are not getting feedback from any professor, just go to their graduate school and you know you merit this school with what they stated there. And perchance, because at the end of the day, they cannot fit size. That's the reality. Lecturer, professors, quota will be. So just look and go to that school. Jazzy, Robert, Macaulay. Okay, I like that one. That was what I did. Once I enter your something, go to mechanical engineering department. And Robert is in production. Okay, I want to go. Okay, in my SOP, then I would like to work with Professor Jazzy. He has been doing good work in transforming energy, which is a good fit for me. And I also consider other fields which I'm also hoping for, because if you shoot yourself by naming yourself one professor and the others, and they will say, okay, even though there are some people, they will tell them that they don't have his own research area of research, that's why they didn't offer an admission. I
Okay,
understand
sir.
that there are recommendations for professors which actually up your application. But me as a whole, no professor replied like me, and all the schools that I applied to, I got my admission. But the reality is, just ensure the school you are applying to merit your application. Then just pray for grace that when you are applying, the best students, they will be sleeping. But it's not a gamble because you actually know you fit. You actually know you fit. But based on because mainly these professors, even though my professor, do you get when I work with my professor himself is actually busy. Everybody is busy. Nobody will just reply. I understand sending caching email address also, but if they are not replying, you just go to their graduate school. Even though applying to US is a risk, even though living in this is a risk, everything just once you know you merit it, put it a try. I understand the part is coming from. If these lecturer or professors are not giving you feedback, I know you merit the admission. Just drop it there. Just drop it there. Because they will still evaluate, even though some people will even message you that they saw your application. And so don't let that, because at some point I was depressed. Message like 50 professors. Nobody replied me. Maybe I'm not sending catching or warming me. All the schools I applied to, I was giving. So don't overshoot yourself. Once you know it's a safe school for you, you met their basic requirements and everything. Let God do the rest.
Thank you so much, sir. Wow, our time is fast spent. So ultimately now, what are your go-to tips? What are the go-to tips you will give to potential graduate students applying to the United States? Mr. Emmanuel, just within 2 minutes, shouldn't take so long. Just go-to tips. What do you feel potential graduate students should add to their application that would be an edge for them? But Mr. Emmanuel.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Wally. Thank you, Olumide, for that insights. Thanks to everyone that made it here today. Uh, your journey, your life's journey, one's journey starts at a point. Uh, I remember being in a forum like this years ago, and it changed my mindset. And then it gave me the idea that everything was possible. So
Wow.
I think one thing you need to know or hold at the back of your mind is that you are fit for graduate school and you can be in graduate school. Like I said earlier, there is a school for you. Everybody, whether you are 2-1, first class, or whatever, there is a graduate school that is out there for you. You just need to stretch, find it, and then grab the opportunity. So going forward, make sure you have your applications, your documents. Make sure your documents are there, everything you need ready. Don't wait till last minute. Like I said, your transcript is something you need handy. Get it. Um, recommendation letters. Start sending emails to professors. If they don't reply you, start draft recommendation letters, and then that is very, very important. SOPs. Make sure you have friends. Make sure you know people, right? Oluwatu is here. I'm here. I'll drop my email in the chat. If you have your SOPs ready, you can send them. We'll help you review them. If there are any
Mr. Yanu is here also. Is a Commonwealth scholar.
Oh, great. Wow, you're welcome, sir. Uh, Not just us. I mean, there are many people, right? There are people you know that are studying in the US, wherever they are. You can send it to them. They will help you review your SOPs and tell you add this, do this, do this. Uh, Start preparing for the exams, GRE and TOEFL. They are very important. Early preparation, you will get good results if you prepare early and you're ready before all those tests. Don't worry, I will not bother much about finance, about how to finance myself to US or how to, uh, pay application fees for now. I think all these things will come in handy. The most important thing right now is to pass the exam. Make sure you deal with those exams. You have the scores that are required, and then one step at a time. Of course, everyone says, and I will still say, that applying to graduate school is not a sprint; it is a marathon. So it's not
Yeah.
something that you just wake up or that comes tomorrow. It's something that you build over time. It's a process. And lastly, Education USA is there for you. You can apply to
We
Education USA and also leverage the support which they give via funding. I'm a beneficiary of Education USA through OFP, Opportunity Funds Program. The application is out. Sorry, it's ongoing right now. I think it will be the closing date is next month, the first of next month. You can apply, and there are some. I know people here that I talked with last year who got OFP and they have funding in the US now. They are coming to the US this year. I know people, all right, from this group. So I just want to urge you to believe, be determined, be committed, and the sky is all yours to shine, all right? Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, sir. So Mr. Olumide, before you, I would like to add also, I think no one discussed massive open online courses, MOOCs. It you can take online courses on Coursera, edX, and also Udemy on courses related to the probably the guided study you are looking forward to taking in next lecture. You can just take an online course on Coursera certified by a university abroad and you get certificate. You can add it to your application also. I strongly believe because over time mentors have been advising on okay, make sure you take MOCs to support your application. Even though you don't have publications, you don't have research experience, but those courses you've taken can help you secure an admission, even funding. So Mr. Lumide now, what are your go-to tips ultimately, like finally now? What are
Okay.
go-to tips
On the
to
final note,
potential yeah.
my name is once again Aladesiun. Chris. I want to give hope to you that you think US is hard. I want to give hope to you that you have 2.0. I want to give hope to you that you have HND. I want to give hope to people that doesn't have money for GRE. I want to give hope to people that doesn't have money. Why am I saying this? Number one, you can be in US without GRE, right? So you can be in US without writing TOEFL. Do you get? Just stay at the corner of your room, pray to God, let Him lead you. No matter your profile, do you get? No matter your profile, when God leads you, I have somebody in mathematics education and is coming with fully funded offer. Even though my brother tell me that Baba that's the reality. Because when you don't try, you don't fail. When you don't just try, okay, you saw a school, okay, this school, just give it a try. Do you get? It's only work and pray. Just do the little of the work and give the grace of. You know what I'm emphasizing on grace? You get? I've done it to the best of my knowledge. Like if it's to the DYDS, no, but at the point I need to realize that it's not how smart you are, but it's your effort and God's grace. Why am I saying this? You can be in US without GRE. What you just need to do is your holistic application. You can score 299 or 280. We have people, what's the name of this school? I remember before I go, the girl had 284, so she's there, fully funded offer. Do you get? So I don't have GRE. Accepted. Look for schools. Find out to upgrade your profile in the other parts. Do you get? Maybe in the area of what's it called? In the area of research publication, you can do that. Add that one. If you have 2.2, you can state in your GRE, your SOP. Actually, I have 2.2, but you will improve. You can write your SOP in the way that even though by the time you tell the projection in your what's it called? in your transcript, you made best at the end because it was a gathering process for you to show an improvement to the committee that you started low and you finished high. All those things, there is a way, there is a little, so there is no a simple, what's it called? There is no direct way, and you must be 300 over 100. Even though you can be 1/100 and still get fully 100 over. So my last take and my last thought is this. First of all, US is the easiest. If you apply, me now apply to like 8 or 9 schools. This guy applied to, my colleague applied to like 12 schools. He's only in one. If they don't,
1 minute more, sir.
exactly, if he rejects that school, they will give it to you. So it still works in cycles. So my last thought is look for schools that merit your profile. Look for schools that merit your profile. Apply. Give it a shot. Pray to God. Things happen miraculously. So I want you to eliminate the area of grace in your application.
Yes,
It doesn't
yes.
need it doesn't need to be so perfect, because when I was embarking on this job, it just take me only one application cycle and I'm here. Okay, but I've paid my dues in Finland, in Hungary, in everybody. But I just know that you can get it once and for all. Your profile,
Exactly.
at least everything that is required, what's it called, transcript, everything. Look for where you can complement it. You cannot say your undergraduate. If it's this GRE, see, GRE is good. They will say it's hard, but people are still blasting it. Just give it a try. And I know God will do justice in everyone's life. We are not yet there too. I am still aspiring to. I still send code emails and I'm still not getting feedback. But when I will still throw it there, let it go out. Do you get? So that's not just I believe. I'm not the super prayer warrior that prays for money tonight. Do you get? But just do the little, let grace seize the every other thing. So do your best and do the best. And I pray
Oh,
that everybody, I wish everybody is there. Somebody is saying, what's it called, battery low. That lights, they blink. Do you get? So all the best for everybody, and I really appreciate.
thank you so much, sir. Really appreciate. And I would also like to add to the massive online courses I talked about. You can get financial aid from Coursera, courses that might cost about 50 USD. You can just apply for financial aid, express your strong financial need, and then they might grant you the course for free within a specific period of time. So all these things you can add to your application. Um, Finally, now to the last session, just we won't take just within 5 minutes. We want to entertain questions from our participants. Okay, if you have any question, you can drop it in the chat box. Okay, I think there have been some questions right there. Let me go through. Okay.
Can you just allow people ask the questions verbally? If that
Okay.
so I'll
So if you
just
have any
unmute them.
question, you can unmute yourself.
Just ask them to raise up their hands. I will unmute them.
So you can use the raise hand tab to signify. If you have any question, just click on the three button more, then you see raise hand to signify. Any question? No one is asking. Please feel free to ask your question. Okay.
I guess that guy is having a network issue. Olu Akindipe is raising up his hand. Maybe you can
Okay.
put-
Okay. Olu Akindipe, Statue.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. You're welcome.
Really, I must say thank you for the enlightening time with you guys. It's really been eye-opening, and so many hidden questions have been answered even by the conversation. And I must say thank you to the convener of this noble platform and to our guests. Thank you so much. But okay, on Thursday, I was having a conversation with some friends who want to also who are seeking offers to in schools in US, and one was like, is age limit, is it a factor to submitting applications in US schools? Because we have one of us, we are three guys we are sort of accountable to one another. I'm writing my GRE by May, and we've been studying together. One of us is 30 years, and he's saying that
Wow.
he's thinking in his mind that his chances of being admitted as slim because of his age factor. So I said, so I just it popped up in my mind is just now as I said to ask, is there a criteria to being eligible for admissions in US schools, or is it just his own perception? So like I need clarity on that too.
Olu Akindipe, do you get? I'm above 30 years, across Greece, I'm in US. See, age is not an issue. Do you get? Age is not an issue. But the issue that I won't be salient about is that embassy, going to embassy.
Yes, embassy.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Do you get? Going to embassy. Let me now tell you the reality. Do you get? Visa application for US is simple. If you are credible and you merit it, some people will say, I want to travel to 30 different to have travel history. You merit the visa. If they merit the visa, you get. I've not been out. So the actual issue is there is no age limit. But if you are 30 years, the actual reality is this. When do you finish your undergrad? Let's assume you finish your undergrad 5 years ago. You get how many work experience do you have? So you need to you need to paint an image to the VO visa officer that are actually going to US that are not to go and marry, because at that point they know you'll be desperate to marry. Do you get? So if you are going to US at those age, anything that's fine, and you're going for masters, you get, logically you don't have the what is it called? You don't have a work experience or something, though you can still frame that up. But the actual reality is when you are going to the embassy, you have a fully funded offer. Do you get? You know that before you can get an offer, that means you merited it. So it could convince the VC, but you are going to the embassy at the age of 35, 32, and you are carrying $40,000 deficit. Who can pay $40,000? Though they know you want to japa. Do you get now? So you need to package. It's not a barrier. It's not a barrier. Do you get now? You need to package your application in a way that you pay to the PO. You're not going to go and marry a kata. That's just. You get now? So when you are there at the age of 30, logically you have an undergraduate and maybe an MSc, and maybe you are going for 30, but you are 30 years old, you are going for MSc, and you don't have a good funding. The VO might not be convinced that, but if you are 23 years old, you are going for masters, or you are 24 years old, you are going for masters or PhD in the United States, you know that you are still serious. Do you get now? Like somebody that, maybe you get my point. It's not a barrier, but that embassy, you need to pay to the VC that you are actually going to study and not to happen. You must be credible enough before you can do that. Despite, okay, thank you. Yes, guys,
Thank you, thank you,
Thank
Olumide. So that is a very important question. I think it's something I didn't really stretch on during my talk. So this is the game. This is the deal. Uh, if you are applying to scholarship and you think you are older than usual or expected, uh, it's not. There's age is not a barrier. I think that is one thing that's coming over here. You will see. I think in my class, I have people that are much younger than myself. There's no age barrier here. So this is the deal. Uh, okay, you finished school. I will assume now that you've probably finished your universities 5 years ago or 6 years ago, and you probably have been waiting, maybe applying for scholarship or working, and now you want to apply school. So this is the deal. The age requirements where you might face challenge. Okay, it's two-way. It's a two-way thing. You will face challenge based on your CV and at the embassy if you finally get the admission or when you finally get the admission. So, but the bottom line is, what have you been doing over those years? Building up to now that you want to go and study. So I would advise that some of you might not want, maybe you just get your here. You probably will have a time scale you want to start applying to scholarship maybe next year. I advise you start gathering experiences. That is what will stand for you. You finished school 2015. What have you been doing since then? Not say you've been selling tomato, you've been doing this. You'll build experience. Make sure you have the voice. The voice is there in your CV. You can be in academia teaching. That is a very good experience. You can be doing a voluntary, service Maybe because if you're applying to in the academics, you should be doing something related. It doesn't mean it has to be like that, but if it is related, it's a good one. Even if it's not related, it's still good. Just make sure you have an experience, something that is covering up for that gap, that lapse, that time frame from when you finish school, your university to now that you're trying to apply. Uh, make sure you have something you're doing that you can explain. I've been working, I've been building experience, and now I feel it's right for me to go back to school. All right. I think that is a very good point.
And before, one thing that we omitted, there are two major seasons or two major application cycles in the US, or 2.5. We have the fall and the spring. Do you get? And spring reception is in January, and the application starts around August, and it closes maybe around June, July, and it closes around maybe September. Why for fall applicant, they resume by August, and the application starts from September, October, November, December, then January. And spring is between May now. People will be entering, people will be resuming for spring in May, and the application is around January, February. So when you are shooting for your application, those are the time frames you can. Thank you.
Yano, I think you can come up.
So the next, okay, Mr. Yano.
Thank you very much. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I'm echo.
Hey, can you hear me without echo now?
Yeah.
Yes, we can now.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so thank you very much to speakers. It's really been an engaging moment. Thank you so much. I would love to ask, particularly Scholar Olumide, we understand that you are married and you're currently in the US. So for someone who is possibly in a relationship or just got married, maybe in Nigeria, how do you think such a person would be able to balance marital life with academic? And for somebody who is going to the US, hoping to be in a relationship, so how do you think that would be possible, looking at the stipend being paid and looking at school work? So for you being married, how do you intend doing that? And for Scholar Musa also, Emmanuel, relationship-wise, how do you think one can actually balance that? Does it mean that during 1 year as a PhD scholar, one cannot be in a relationship or get married, particularly if it's a far distance relationship? So I just wanted to shed some light on that.
Thank you. It's a very big question you asked me. I must say I'm passing through some emotional things too. But something goes for don't love emotional. I'm here for a business. So it's not that I'm leaving my wife or my household. And there's opportunity for F2 as well. You can file F2 for your wife and not your girlfriend. Do you get now? Because they will require for what's it called, marriage certificates. And let's assume there are some schools. Actually, some schools pay stipends as far as $2,000. Baba, you can do well with that $2,000. You get here in US as a student, if you have an apartment, maybe in Texas is relatively cheap. You can have an apartment and you can still manage with $2,000. Truth be told, but the reality is when you have somebody down in Nigeria, the time frame too is not that favorable. It's not the same time. So late in the night to talk and everything. But I believe, aside the emotional aspect, at least I'm leaving my home to come over here. It's not easy too, but since it's for a purpose and not that I'm escorting, that settles that. Then if you have a girlfriend in Nigeria, be a girlfriend, but you cannot come on F2. Your girlfriend, because it will need the legally marriage certificate before you can file an F2 as you can find a dependent. So managing things, I believe, aside the emotional things, there will be time to do. You just call them, do video call, do WhatsApp call, and get another. Actually, a time for everybody if you actually love. There is time for everybody if you love them. So it's not okay. You can also, as an F2 visa for your spouse being an MSc. Yes, you can file an F2 visa too if you are an MSc student too. Do you get? So it doesn't deter anything as much that you have all the required documents that was requested. I guess that answers your question. But having a time for your what's it called, for long distance relationship, you will have time. You get just he or she will just assume that that person travels for the job or everything there. But you cannot file an F2 for your girlfriend because you are not married. You are still a girlfriend. So managing time, work, and everything, you actually love your wife, you will have time for them. If you actually love your girlfriend, you have time for them. At least you cannot go and meet. She or she cannot come, or you cannot exchange. You just have to manage things emotionally. But aside that, you have time, you speak with them, you call them, and that, but it doesn't actually deter you from studying. So in US too, as a PhD student, I'm on a cruise, you are not correct now. You are doing PhD, maybe 400 or 5. You actually see girls around in US, they are gays, but their relationship issue in US is quite different from Nigeria. You have to see the relationship in US. I have not dabbled into it because I'm already married. I don't need to waste my time on that. But I know people are having relationship with girls to marry and like. I don't know much about that. But I'm married and I'm married for good. So I still manage that remotely via call, and there's opportunity to file F2 for them as soon as when I want.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Sorry, to correct, I think somebody said that I did not mean to say girlfriend. I meant if you are engaged to somebody before traveling. So just to correct
engaged or married. Engaged or married.
No, engaged.
What do you mean by engaged?
No. You've answered the question. I just want to correct that.
Okay,
I think I said girlfriend before. No, you've answered already.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Of course, you didn't mention girlfriend, but it's just important we get that straight. It's either you are engaged or you are married. There's nothing like girlfriend. All right, so that's another.
Thank you. Sufficient funding your MS system. All people are partial.
Okay, I think we have Mr. Ola.
Okay, somebody is asking a question here. Is that before you can file an F2 for somebody, we tell you to show a proof of fund. Sufficient fund in your USMS system. What are people that have partial funding? What are the chances of filing for F2 visa? And they will ask you, before you can file for somebody, to be able to cater for them. Now they will ask you, do you have the required funding too? But as far as partial funding is concerned, I'm very sure after your first semester, before second semester, you must have had on campus job or another level of fund because you're already here. So it's easier to fund you. I have people here that doesn't come with any fund after first semester. The second semester, they are being funded in the school. They are able to leverage on, according to what I said, TAGA and what was it called? Graduate assistant, graduate opportunities, maybe being in the library. And because they are already here, it's easy to dabble around with different people. So after first semester, I believe, or after first year, or after your first semester, you are lobbying to one place where you can manage and cater for funding. As far as funding, you can collect a student loan to pay off them. I still have deficits. I wish I never, so it's not a two or that. Or lucky.
Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, I guess, in the US.
Just say good day. I think good day is okay.
Okay, well, good day, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. First of all, I joined the meeting late, so I might have missed some things. So I think that's what is now giving rise to my first question: that if is there going to be a supplementary platform after this particular Zoom meeting where we can also just chat, maybe one of you scholars up, and then just to ask further questions, probably on what we missed, on something that we are not very clear about?
Yes.
So just reply that shortly. Sorry, Wale. Oh, there is going to be a recording session. There's a recording session rather. So we're going to share the records with everyone that participated. Moreover, there's a Telegram group which I've shared on the group already. I'm going to share it again so you can join that. Okay, Rotimi already shared it, so you can just join the group. Then we'll share the recording. Thank you so much, Scholar Wale.
You're welcome, sir.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Also,
Thank you very much.
I would like to
I have more questions, please.
Okay.
Yes, you like to add? I thought okay. Okay. Now, for I don't know. Can I relate my stand of view? Hello. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello. Yes. Okay. Now, I did pharmacy as an undergraduate. I did pharmacy as an undergraduate as a course, and I'm looking towards a research-driven master's in the US, usually around the genomic biotech side. I don't know if you might have a knowledge of the scholarship opportunities for that area or MSc programs in that area or in the US. And also for between the US and the UK, which would you say is the best for master's program? My questions are quite big. Me saying it out right now seems quite big. So, and also, I think one of the things we need to do in application is the personal statement, the motivation letter, and every other thing in scholarship application. Can you say some few things about that, sir?
Okay, but concerning the personal statement, motivation letter, you get the recording so you can listen to what Mr. Olumide and Mr. Emmanuel said about that. As regarding masters in UK or in US, I don't have any idea. Probably somebody will help us out.
I think Yanu will be able to answer that. I think Emmanuel too can answer it. Or Olumide, any one of them anyway.
Good question. For master's program in UK or US, I think it's about what you want. If you go to the UK, master's is a 1-year program, and it's not research based. So after 1 year, you're done with your master's, you have your MSc, and then you can move on from there. Master's in the US is quite different. It's a 2-year thing. It's mostly research based, and you also have. Although now here comes the main deal. USA will not give you masters. The opportunity for masters are very small compared to opportunities for PhD. So if you are applying to US, you are more likely to get a PhD offer than an MSc offer. This is because they want you to stay long. They want you to do research over a long time, not just to come after a year and a half or two, you go back or you finish and leave. All right. So that is why masters here, it's quite difficult. So for me, if you are applying for scholarship, you are likely to get an MSc scholarship in UK than in the US. But that is also if you get the scholarship. But now funding is more available in the US than in the UK. So you are considering a lot of things before you're applying. You are considering the funding, and then you're also considering your chances of getting the admission as well. So it's a two-way thing. All right.
Okay, and to add to that, left to me, we are in US, you get for the money. Number one, get that straight. We are not coming to US. Okay, PhD is 5 years to straight PhD from. See, we are coming to the US not for the certificate only, for the big economy. You get Texas allocation only is 93 of Nigeria. So we are not really coming to come and study and go back there. People, we are staying here. We are eating the money together. Do you get now? It's not, even though I don't even want my master's to be 2 years, I want my master's to be like 5 years. Do you get now? That's the idea. It's not that we come here and bombard me with like full courses in 1 year. I'm done with my master's and I'm going home. No, they are here. We specifically chose US because of the opportunity, not because of the device. Yes, we have a motive. Do you get now? So why I'm not going to I have a reason why I'm shooting for US. It's not only for 5 years. The 2 years is good. I'm doing only 2.5 courses or 3 courses now. Not that they will rush me, I will go back to that. You are here
Got
because
you
of
and then go back.
so you
Yeah.
play your card. If you want to go to UK in 12 months, you have your MSc and go back to your house. But we are here in the US for a reason, for the bigger opportunities that are here. It's not really about and as for the MSc, you can get MSc. You can get. I didn't shoot it for PhD. I shoot it for PhD, but I get them so that I'll be able to hunt for job. And I cannot be in PhD for 5 years. But the actual reality, when I apply for straight PhD from PS, is very difficult in the US. Along the line, you have your MSc, but according to what this guy said, funding opportunities are more for PhDs than MSc. There are some schools,
PhD.
TUFT, they don't even fund their MSc. So they are shooting for US. Yeah, 10 years. You can do everything. That's the long term view. It's not for us to come and do the right years and go back. Zibo, they are not going, we are eating everything. That's the idea.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I think that would be the last question for.
I think what we can do is this. Ola, you just send all your questions on the group. The scholars are there. Emmanuel is there. Because of the time, currently now it's 12 a.m. So we'll just maybe take your questions and they will respond to it on the group. So yeah, everyone should just attempt to join the group so that
Within a minute. Okay. Apart from Education USA, there are several initiatives that help fund your GRE graduate application fee. Some even help with service visa and ticket fee. I think I Scholar Initiative, though the one for this year, the deadline has passed, and probably for undergraduates, you can do your own work about that initiative in view of next year. Apart from that, we have Dr. Michael Taiwo Scholarship for potential US applicants. He helps fund GRE, TOEFL, pay graduate admission fee, and also up with visa application. So apart from that, recently I saw another advert for women, Tech Aveli, something like that. And it's closing tomorrow. Oh, all right, tomorrow. That's 25th of April. So you can do your research. You might not even have to spend that 45K from your bank account. It can be someone that will sponsor you. It can be a scholar that will sponsor you. So you also need to be smart as you are applying for guys studies abroad.
And lastly,
So
don't pay anybody, any agent for your visa something for your what's it called, US application. Do you get?
yes.
Because it cannot influence anything. Don't pay anybody. Don't pay anybody for anything. It's what you can do yourself. I did all myself and I did not pay anybody. Because at the end of the day, they will guarantee you this and that. They were not the one that will help you see the VO. You see it yourself and everything before you grant your visa. I guess that would be fair on that side.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. And to wrap it up, Mr. Iyano will help us with the vote of thanks and closing remarks.
I think there's just a bit of changes.
Okay.
So Demi would come up to do the vote of thanks now.
Okay, sir. Okay.
All right, good evening, everyone. Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
Yes,
you.
we
Just
can.
come.
We can. We can.
Okay, yeah. Um, we want to appreciate our speakers for today. We want to say thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing with us your wealth of knowledge. Speaking to Mr. Nyela Emmanuel and Mr. Aladesiun Olumide, we pray that God will continue to sustain you, will continue to bless you, and will continue to make your endeavors prosper in Jesus' name. And for everyone who has gathered, thanks so much for staying up. thanks so much for being a part of this. We believe that you have learned one thing or the other, and you are really, really going to put them to use. So thank you very much, everyone. God bless you. Sorry, did you hear me?
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
All right. So thanks so much
Yes,
everyone for being part of this. Thank you so much, Scholar Olawale, for such a great for such a great session. We appreciate. We appreciate.
Thank you so much for the privilege. Okay, so wrap it up for the day. Thank you everyone for attending the webinar. And please try and be active on the group. Information, funding opportunities, scholarship opportunities will be dropped on the group, the Brain Conference group. So you can follow up on those links.
All right. Thank you very much, Wally. And you have a good night over there.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Emmanuel. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much,
Olumide,
everyone.
thank you.
God bless you all.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Olayemi. Which is your first name actually?
Olayemi is my
All right.
first name.
All right.
Yeah.
Rotimi is your last name actually.
Yes, and
My
David
goodness,
is my
I'm
middle
sorry.
name.
I just
keep Goliath.
Okay. Olayemi. All right. All right. Thank you so much for
Yeah, you're
the time.
welcome. And thank you as well.
So I think some slept off now because they are not leaving the page. So I'm going to end the meeting now. All right. So